Hi guys, check out these two side-by-side clips of our gorgeous model here in Handsome Alley. I don't know how we afforded him on our budget, but look at that blurry background, that wonderful color rendering, and that sharp image. Now, it won't surprise people who watch this channel that one of those clips is from this lens right here, arguably the best value lens in the history of mirrorless cameras. This is the Sigma 30mm f1.4 aps-c lens. This thing is so great and is one of my most recommended lenses ever on this channel. But what might surprise some people is the other clip came from this lens right here. This is a brand new release, a 33mm f1.4, and it is better than this Sigma 30mm in almost every way, including price, because as great of a value as this one is even cheaper. So we need to talk about it. So this is getting ridiculous. Cheap lenses are getting so good optically that I am in gear heaven. I am loving it. But around the 30-ish millimeter focal length, I have never recommended anything but the Sigma 30mm because pretty much it is the best value that you could possibly get at this focal length. 1.4, that lets in so much light. So if you like doing things like street photography, food photography, general travel photography, and also if you like to back up the camera a little bit to shoot your video, a 30mm is good to go. That is about a 45mm full frame field of view. So what you get in this lens is kind of what you see in real life, more true to life photos. But here's the thing. This is now out. This is by Yongnuo, the Yongnuo 33mm 1.4, and I am extremely impressed with Yongnuo and what they are doing lately. After using this lens extensively and running it through a battery of tests, I have to say that not only does it hold up to the 30mm from Sigma, it surpasses it in almost every way that counts. Now don't get me wrong, the Sigma 30 is still an excellent lens, and I wouldn't necessarily rush out to sell it just to get this Yongnuo right here, but you can watch the video and decide for yourself if the upgrades of the Yongnuo are worth it to you. And I should mention that Yongnuo did send this lens out for the purpose of this review at no cost to myself, but no money changed hands. They don't get to see this video before you find folks. And I should also mention that Sigma Canada has always been really great for me. I bought this lens out of my own money, but they do often send me lenses for review. I have no skin in the game. I just want to show you the pros and cons of the different lenses at the different price points, and hopefully that will help you make a better purchasing decision. But let's check out the build quality on this Yongnuo lens, and it is an excellent build quality. It is a mostly metal lens with a very smooth turning focus ring. You will see an aperture ring, which I love very much on my lenses. I like using aperture rings a lot when I am shooting photos, especially, and you can click or declick this aperture ring here on this E-mount version. There is a focus hold button and a little switch here that says 1 and 2, and that is for autofocus and manual focus when you are using it the way I am, but you can also buy an optional wireless remote control. If you want to be able to focus pull without actually touching the camera or lens, you can set this lens up to transmit wirelessly to that little controller and focus pull for yourself, which is kind of a cool little thing. They have a few lenses that jive with that little focus puller. There is a USB-C port for updating your lens. I updated the lens before I did these tests and reviews, and it worked just fine. And on the back, there is also a little rubber gasket. So you do have some weather sealing here, some dust and moisture resistance with that rubber gasket. The filter size is 58mm, and it comes with a plastic petal lens hood, and it's actually a decent quality petal lens hood. Sometimes with the lower price lenses, your lens hood can feel really cheap and floppy, but not too bad here on this Yongnuo lens. Now the Yongnuo lens is a little bit bigger and heavier than the Sigma 30mm f1.4. The Yongnuo comes in at 372 grams on my scale, and the Sigma is 266 grams. You definitely feel that when you are holding the two lenses, but I really like the construction of the Yongnuo, and it balances quite well on a camera like an A6700. The Sigma 30mm has no bells and whistles. It is a plastic lens with a smooth turning rubber focus ring, no buttons, no autofocus, the manual focus switch, no weather sealing, no rubber gasket. It is just a plain Jane lens, but it works really well and has been out since 2016, and people still love it today. Now, the size and weight is definitely an advantage for the Sigma, but it has another, and that is when it comes to minimum focus distance. You can minimally focus at 30 centimeters for this Sigma lens, and you have to go to 40 centimeters for the Yongnuo. So if you want to get really close to your subject and really blow out that background, the Sigma 30 is the way to go. The autofocus on both these lenses is outstanding. For third-party lenses, it's hard to believe how good the autofocus is. Just quick, snappy, reliable, no hesitation whatsoever. Whether you're in AFC, AFS, if you are tracking, it doesn't matter. These two lenses get the job done. But I will say the Yongnuo is a tiny bit more quiet. The Sigma is definitely not loud at all, but the Yongnuo is almost completely silent. It does have a stepping motor in there. However, that motor is very, very quiet. With chromatic aberration, both lenses do a pretty good job when it is just straight lateral chromatic aberration. The Yongnuo does slightly better than the Sigma lens, but nothing to complain about with lateral chromatic aberration. Plus, that is pretty easy to fix in post, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Now, when it comes to the longitudinal chromatic aberration, the LOCA, that is present on both lenses for sure. It is stronger on the Sigma, so Yongnuo does do a better job of controlling the LOCA, but you will see it in spades at f1.4. Now, by f2.8, it is almost gone, and at f4, you won't see any LOCA on either lens. But if you are stopped way down and you have very high contrasting subjects, then you may see that LOCA in your image. And an advantage that is very clear for the Yongnuo over the Sigma is when it comes to focus breathing. There is virtually no focus breathing on this Yongnuo lens, which is very, very impressive. You can't use that focus breathing compensation on the Sony bodies with third-party lenses. So when you have a lens that has very minimal focus breathing, that is so great. If you want to stack your photos, in Photoshop, you're trying to do, in focus from close to infinity, and you want to stack all those photos, you won't have to make any adjustments. And of course, if you are using video and you're doing long focus pulls, then this will be the lens for you. When it comes to Sunstars, it is no contest. The Yongnuo has these big, beautiful Sunstars. They start coming out at around f4, and by the time you get to f16, they are just gigantic. They look so cool in photos. If you are a fan of Sunstars, this is going to be one of your favorite lenses. They also do a good job controlling ghosting and flare. Now, you will see a little bit of flare, but contrast is controlled quite well. I like the coatings on this Yongnuo lens, and I'm really happy to shoot even backlit subjects. The bokeh on both these lenses is so great, and when you have a 1.4, you are looking for that. It just goes into a blurry mush back there, so smooth, nothing distracting, even if the background is busy. Great fall off from things that are in focus to out of focus. I love the way the background is rendered on both of these lenses. Now, when it comes to the bokeh balls, then this is another win, I think, for the Sigma. Not by much, but there is a little haloing when it comes to the Yongnuo lens. I think the Yongnuo balls are a little bit cleaner. Don't make jokes, everybody. You can make them, but keep them to yourself. Don't write them in the comments. But the bokeh balls, they are actually a little bit cleaner on the Yongnuo lens, but I don't like that little halo that is around them, whereas you're not getting that fringing on the Sigma. Sigma does a really great job of rendering bokeh balls. With sharpness, I am happy to report both lenses are exceptionally sharp in the center. It falls off a little bit in the corners when you're down to 1.4, but by the time you stop it down to f4 or so, it is sharp straight across the board with both of these lenses. It's really hard, even if you're pixel peeping, to point out which one is sharper, but I have to say, if I'm going to give the nod to sharpness to one of these two lenses, it's going to be the Yongnuo. It just looks a tiny bit sharper in the center than the Sigma in all of my tests. When it comes to distortion and vignetting, you are going to see it if you are using the raw photos and you haven't corrected them with both of these lenses. However, they both have Lightroom profiles, so with one click of a button, your corners will brighten up and your images will straighten out. When it comes to pricing, the Sigma lens full retail price is around $319 US, whereas the Yongnuo comes in at $268. Now that is a substantial savings, but this 30mm has been out for quite some time, and there are sales that go on this lens from time to time, so the price gap can definitely decrease. And if you are buying used, who knows, you might even be able to get this cheaper than this lens right here. And this is a Sigma lens. Japanese craftsmanship has stood the test of time. People absolutely adore their Sigma lenses, so you know you can buy with confidence with this Sigma lens. However, this Yongnuo lens, I don't know how it's going to stand up, over time, because it just came out a couple of months ago. But boy, oh boy, everything I'm testing on this lens, it is really, really great. It's a little bit bigger and heavier than the Sigma lens, and it can't focus quite as closely. But other than that, this thing is pretty much a winner all around. So I want to thank Yongnuo for sending this lens out for review, and I want to thank them for continuing to provide budget alternatives to something that was already a budget alternative. So great stuff, everybody. Sigma, Yongnuo, keep doing what you're doing, and we will do what we do here, which is demonstrate lenses and talk our nonsense into the camera. So tell me down below if this Yongnuo lens floats your boat. If not, what lens does float your boat? And then I will review that one on the channel if I haven't done it already. So anyway, thanks for watching this. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.